Welcome to Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box.
Break it down.
Our guests are insiders, now on the outside and the right side, dropping truth and nuclear intel bombs and breaking it down just for you. And now it's time to meet your hosts and co-hosts. Your hosts of Beyond the Box are Brenda Lankarge and Suzanne Hott. Brenda Lankarge is host of Beyond the Box and retired law enforcement. Joined by Suzanne Hott, host of Beyond the Box, Joel's Indoor Arena and Event Center, and White Horse Productions. They are joined by co-hosts Tom Althouse, Tommy Edwards, Brian Sang, and Penny L.A. Shepard. Tom Althouse, co-host Beyond the Box, is the real author of The Matrix, The Immortals, and The Matrix Redeemed. Tommy Edwards, co-host Beyond the Box, Virginia Tech football star, recording artist, and mental health advocate. Brian Sang, co-host Beyond the Box, Full Disclosure Now Movement, fulldisclosuremovement.org. And Penny L.A. Shepard, executive producer and co-host of David Zuglick's Always Nation, The Dark Outpost, Patriots Perspective, and Beyond the Box. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Beyond the Box begins now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Box. Today is June 7th, 2024. Oh, it's getting there, Susie. We're almost done with 2024. Then we get to get into another crazy year. Who knows? How are you?
I'm good. But I really want to let everybody know what happened to Brenda yesterday. She got bit by a copperhead. A copperhead. And you're the only person that can be in a wheelchair in the city, okay, barefoot, on your wheelchair getting attacked by a venomous snake. And then the craziest thing ever is, oh, there goes that little snake thing you had to endure. See, it's like a hiccup, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the thing had to stick its fang all the way through your foot, so it didn't get the poison in your body. So it wasn't a very smart snake, except for it got stuck on you and had to go to the hospital and then cut its head off at the hospital. Which I know you freaked out all the attendants in the hospital with that one, coming in there with a live snake on your body.
Oh, quite hilarious. Quite hilarious. I mean, I didn't know whether to lay there and stop breathing and die or laugh because it was just, I don't know.
The look on their faces.
Yeah.
Did they all crowd around you and look at the snake on your body? Oh my God.
I really wanted to say, that's my support animal.
Did they take pictures? Did they take pictures?
I think they did. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God.
So it's just a little. Yeah,
that's what happens when you get.
My nerves are kind of shot, so.
Yeah, it went into your nervous system, I guess, that poison, right? The venom.
It's okay.
How long does it take for that to wear off, did they say?
About a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you're all right. I just thank God. It's like, it is a total miracle that snake did not succeed in its mission. Okay.
You know, the ones that we need to feel sorry for are the people that I say, if I die, I'm going to come back and haunt you. So don't let me die. and then
I love you,
no, I
Brenda.
can never
Oh my
stay
God.
in the hospital. The show must go on.
Well, you kept saying if anything happens to me and I go to the hospital for some reason, you've been saying that for weeks, and I'm like, did you have a premonition? Because I think you did, and you just didn't know it. You were like saying that, and I thought, why is she saying that? Like, does she think something? Does she's thinking something subconsciously, and then she keeps saying it a lot, and I think I said I think so. I think your subconscious already knew, and but you were there for 12 hours, and they let you
Yeah.
out, so.
I had to argue for an hour. It's like no means no. Give me a piece of paper. I'll write it for you to make sure that you know I mean it.
Oh my God, you are so funny, Brenda. Oh my God.
So let's do our prayer, and then we'll get everybody out here. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I just asked the Father, and I talk about this a lot, but the Father is the Spirit of God, and the Mother is the material manifestation of the Spirit. And so the Father, the Mother, and the Son, Jesus. I ask that family to watch over us. That's our heavenly family, and to watch over us poor earthlings down here on this cursed planet that we live on with a bunch of venomous snakes, and watch over and protect us so that even if we do get attacked or come under attack, that the Lord will watch over us and protect us from those things. And I pray for the show and all those watching that, it's going to be a very educational and wonderful show. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. So let me find in the queue here. Let me find my co-hostess that does the mostest. There she is. Hi, Penny.
Hola, Chiquita Bananas. How is everyone this evening?
I need some Chiquita bananas.
You do.
Look,
Yes, I
even-
have no bananas.
Look,
So-
I made a cup of coffee, and I haven't even drank half of it, and it's already cold.
I'm so sorry.
We could get you some ice.
I'm so sorry. I would make you a cup of coffee, but it's a little bit far for me to give it to you. So we're going to have a guest today. His name is ALOBAR. He says his middle name is Indiana because his last name is Jones.
Jones.
That's right. Me and Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones. We got some time going on. So we're gonna do a little bit different. We're gonna bring in our actual
Brian.
guest, and then Brian is gonna introduce Alabar because he knows him.
Yes. And here's Brian.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here.
It's the drum roll.
You're moving.
Excellent. I'm not frozen yet.
No.
No, not yet. You're okay.
Smile.
Just in case.
There you go.
Just in case.
So Brian, how did you meet Alabar?
I was going online, I think on YouTube, looking for various videos on. I'm always looking for updates on the current state of spiritual warfare on Earth, and also the exopolitical situation. So it's you got your ETs on the one side, and then you got your spiritual forces on the other, and of course we're all in the same reality interacting. And I found Alabar in his channel. One of his recent videos in particular was an interview with Baphomet, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And he's doing a lot of work that people would call Jedi work. I know there's also a gentleman named Stephen D. Kelly here in the U.S. that's doing similar types of work. Alabar from down under is coordinating people who have done 10 years of astral projection or more. So these are astral projection veterans, and they work together to bring down the strongholds of darkness and to help support the forces of light. And so that let's bring Alabar on, because I know everyone is going to have lots of questions.
I have one more, and I got to say this. Norma, get ready. Put your lampshade on. Dr. Lampshade is
Dr.
in
Lampshade?
the house. He's in the house.
Dr. Lampshade, it's so good to see you.
You're looking particularly well tonight, Dr. Lampshade.
Thank you.
Talking about the light, Brian.
Light bulb. Light bulb. Okay, go ahead.
It is a light. Actually, ALOBAR manages a team of light workers. Says he manages a team of therapists to bring the outcomes that nobody else will bring. He trains excellent astral travelers and healers. He brings peace and tranquility to a troubled world. He helps the deeply mentally ill return to normal, and he supports incurable medical problems. Why don't we bring ALOBAR in?
Nice.
I've got all of that. Only, my astral stuff is boxing with Daddy Bush.
You got all that. Ask him about, hey, can you fix the snake that was attached to my
No,
feet?
you know what? I would much rather just have the other leg back, than that way I got two to tango with.
That's true.
There you go.
Yes.
Let's get you another leg to grow out,
That's right.
And then wear some
Come on
shoes
in
when you
here,
start
Mr.
kicking them snakes.
Mr. ALOBAR. Hello.
G'day, everybody. How you all doing?
We're excellent. And thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood to start off, and then how you ended up doing the things that you're doing?
Oh, no, my childhood was very, very normal, very, very suburban. Yeah, look, trauma story, lots of things happen to kids, and that's all good fun. But the story that you guys want to hear, the story that really kicks off is I joined Alcoholics Anonymous in 1987. I spent almost 20 years sober now. But they gave me a management position or something like that, called a Central Service Office Secretary. And that just means I spoke to everybody in the club. And everybody who had 10 years or more, I go, so what is this thing? What are we dealing with? This is an illness that's the same for everybody. What is it? And nobody knew. Nobody had a clue. So then I'd started to go into the 12 steps a bit deeper. And 6 of the 12 steps mentioned God, so I thought I'd better bloody get one. So I went to the old school church, and they were a bit useless. I went to the newer happy clappies churches, and they were nice people, but they couldn't help me. I went to Landmark, and they weren't any good. I didn't like them. Just flat out did not like them. For a little while, and they've got something cool, but you have to hang out with them for 5 years before they show you the funky astral projection stuff. And the hippies and the New Age movement, they just wanted money. And so I had some of that. And I did the first weekend course in astral projection, and it paid dividends. So I did another one. Things. And since then, over the last 15 years, I've studied what's under the hood of all the major religions. I've studied at least a dozen different healing modalities. I do medical intuition work. I'm probably the only person in the world who does mental health intuition. And if you're curious, all mental health issues are the result of demonic interference. Every single one. There are 11 different ways that they penetrate the human body with our minds. And depending on what kind of illness you got is which one's attacking you. I'm at least top 10 professional exorcists in the world. I don't know, and I haven't found anyone who's better than me, but I won't say I'm the best. Not ready to say that. Though the work we do is we take active junkies and sort their lives out inside of about 3-4 months. Where I have a whole team of elite healers. And so people quit the drugs, go back to school, get a job, get a girlfriend, get a flat, get their independence, get a life again. And all of this began after, I think it was like the 3rd astral projection class I did. And I was sitting in a 12-step meeting. I was just scanning, and they showed us Klingon spirits or negative entities, or they're also, Eckhart Tolle called them pain bodies. These little parasite spirits. and I would scan all the people in the 12 step meetings, all the anonymous meetings, and I'd look them up and down, and they're just covered in the bloody things. They're covered in demons, and I'm going, there's something here. There's something going on here, and I'm going to follow this, and that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. In between international adventures, in between, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff.
So ALOBAR, when you're there in those 12-step meetings and you're seeing people covered in astral, like negative astral entities,
Yep.
did you begin from there trying to figure out how to free the people from those entities?
Well, funnily enough, my instructor who showed them to us, she just showed them to us. She didn't tell us what to do about them. I went back to her and I said, so this is the situation. There's a lot of people who could use this. And she couldn't tell me how to deal with them. So then I spent 3 months I had a really on my solar plexus. And every night I would just start astral projecting, put on the boxing gloves and do a couple of rounds with it until I finally figured out how to get rid of it. And then about 3 days after I finally put it to death, about 3 days later, I just had to stop in the street and I go, I feel so much better. Oh, this is how normal people feel all the time. Right. Oh, wow. I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to be doing from here forward. And and since I couldn't find anybody in West Australia to explain to me how to do it, I went on a spiritual journey to India. I went on a quest to go and discover how to finish these things off. And all of the gurus I asked didn't know. All the ashram people just sort of pushed me to the side on that question. And I was actually ended up at a temple to Padmasambhava, who was one of Buddhism's early heroes. And during my dreams that night, it just filled me. He just told me step by step, here's the instructions, do this, then do that, do this, then do that, how to deal with them. And I woke up in the morning and go, oh, wow, I've got it. And the next, within 10 minutes, some guy walks in, I go, oh, I've just sort of downloaded this new treatment. Would you like to go? And he really needed it and he loved it. And from then on, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been up to.
And can you tell us about that treatment that took you all the way to India to discover that and then get the download? And then, of course, it's one thing to go from dealing with the astral nasties with someone in your local 12-step group or AA, and then it's quite another when you're dealing with major demons like Baphomet, for example. Can you tell us a bit about what it was like taking out the little guys and then what it's like tilting at the larger windmills?
Yeah, okay. I think that would be like 12 years ago. And as I said, that was the 1 out of 11 different types that I work with. And, over the years, different research, different meditations, wow. Hang on. So you've asked the right question. I have to frame a good answer that makes sense to everybody that I can create a sequence with. Now, I've gone and studied all of the different religions and tried to figure out, because I realized that although if you take out the negative entities off a person, it doesn't stop them drinking. All right? It does alleviate the noise in their head. And for people, and the number one symptom for those parasite spirits is thinking too much. But for alcoholics, down the track, I discovered a deity called Al Ghul, not Al Gore, the US presidential candidate, in days gone by. Al Ghul, L-G-H-U-L. Al Ghul is a Muslim deity. And where the Muslim and Christian empires met was in Spain. And there he's called alcohol. And in English, he's called alcohol. And when they say drinking spirits, they're talking about that specific spirit. It's like it'll take you on a trip, just like ayahuasca will, but not in a good way. After interviewing Al Ghul many times, alcohol was actually a nice guy. He wasn't addictive. He didn't cause all the fights and drama that a lot of them do, that are caused by alcohol. until he met Lucifer, and Lucifer twisted him and co-opted him and trapped him, and now he's one of his servants. During one of my interviews of this deity, the Al Ghul, he's tens of thousands of years old, this guy I'm talking to, right? And he says, my life is horrible. It's like I'm in a room with 1,000 televisions. And what I'm seeing on the television is there's one of my minions in every alcoholic. And when they go into blackout, that means the human's not controlling the body, it's one of the minions. And I see what they do when they get those couple of hours of crazy time. And all I see is 1,000 instances of people picking fights, people getting arrested in car accidents and breakups and you name it, all of that. All of that. That's all I see all day, 24/7 for the last 10,000 years. And he was very, very happy for me to euthanize him. Like, he just wanted it over. And the techniques I used to do that were very similar. However, it didn't stop alcoholism globally, as is one of my goals. He was instantly replaced by one of his lieutenants. So nothing really changed there. But we did learn a lot. And, you know, for the Muslims, he's the god of chaos and destruction and fermentation and rot and alcohol. And the reason why, and the Muslims know him really well, and that's the reason why you can't get a beer in the Muslim world. They just totally reject his influence in their culture. But, you know, it seems like us Christians weren't as savvy about that. And I just want to pay homage to the Irish, who've really gone in the opposite direction. Like, you know, and I call St. Patrick's Day, I call it Christmas for alcoholics. Like, it's just the globe, everything stops. Very, very important. We get drunk. Oh, and we're green. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
But
there's a joke, an Irishman and an Irishman and a Catholic go into a bar. That's a joke. They don't come out.
No, they never come out. Yeah.
Now, Alabar, I have to ask there. So when you deal with a demon like Al-Ghul, and then he gets replaced immediately, it seems like this is like you know, the realm of spiritual warfare, as above, so below, as within, so without. And because, you know, humanity is still doing these negative things with, say, alcohol, even if spiritually you replace Al-Ghul, as long as humanity continues to do the same things spiritually, then he would get replaced in a hot second. Is that how it works?
Well, that was the first tilt that we had. I will say, I'll introduce myself a little bit further. I have an Australian team, an American team, and we're allied with a European team of very high quality astral projectors, and we're all working towards the same thing, which is Earth's liberation from demonkind. These are the corrupting forces that have bought everybody, all of politics, all of media, all of Hollywood, they're actually selling themselves to demons. The demons will offer them whatever they want. You know, whatever they request, they get it, because their soul is 100 times more valuable. And they've been doing it for a very, very long time. Every time we bust into the home base of a demon lord, you know, after we assassinate everybody, what we're doing is just liberating all of the captured souls that they've captured over the last tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, we can actually attest to the fact that Hollywood, or Hollywood as I refer to it, you know, works in conjunction with these demonics. And I forget who I was talking to about this. I also talked to an individual who was on our show who is a psychologist, and he believes that schizophrenia are demons. They're not. It's not a chemical thing. It's actually demonic possession. And in Hollywood, I believe we're talking about the deaths of some different pastors, like Susie had said, a couple pastors that had died, that she knew they died, and then all of a sudden they came back. and I wonder if when they come back, it's not them; it is actually a demon that has walked back in to them.
Well, let me introduce the concept of the Dark Covenant. This is the highest level of contract between a demon and a human. And what it does is it sells the soul forevermore and also grants unlimited access, unlimited use of the human body by said demon. This is what it takes. Right now, I'm aware of a lot of instances where somebody dies and the original soul exits, and then any number of things can jump in and rehabilitate the body. Right? And mostly that's a walk-in. Sometimes I did have one case years ago where there were a few demons, but actually a couple of mermaid spirits jumped in. And after I told the family, yeah, I actually see the fish in there, that's when they explained to me that girl's in line for the Australian Olympic swimming team. Like, it's just weird stuff, absolutely weird. But
You know,
everything can jump into the body. But if your pastors are coming back after a not violent, not the kind of death that will tear the body apart, the kind of death that you could have an open coffin with, quite often they can be revived within the first 5-10 minutes by whatever bloody spirit can power that body.
now, Susie and I were talking about that the other night when she was explaining some stuff to me, and I had said that it's, oh, sorry, it's kind of like a pet cemetery when they buried them there, but when they come back, they're not the same. They're mean, evil.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, because there are a gajillion spirits who are flying around desperate to be in life again, desperate to have a body again. And these guys will use any manipulation they can imagine to gain access to life once more. Yeah. But, I've got so many different stories to tell. Like, I've got a YouTube channel, ALOBAR Jones, that lays out all of the exploits of our teams for the last 3 years. Like, when the pandemic started, I thought, I'm not going to let this slide anymore. This is what we have to do. Like, we have to fight for the earth. If we want to keep this place, then the only way to liberate it is fist to face and reclaim it the old-fashioned way. And so most astral projectors are all about love and light and spreading love. That's not what our group's about. Our group's very much about spiritual warfare. We're one of a very small handful of people who have any competence in it. It's ridiculous. Like, you hear religions say you have to be kind to your enemies. I go, what fucking nonsense are you guys talking about, being kind to your enemies? Like, you hear them say things like, there's a balance between light and dark, but that balance looks exactly the same as a wolf and a sheep in the same pen. Like, that's how balanced the light and dark are ever going to be. And that picture of the yin, it's not light and dark. Yin means feminine in Mandarin, yang means masculine in Mandarin, and it's actually describing the third Hermetic law, not the fourth. The interplay between masculine and feminine, and not the interplay between light and dark. But they quite often talk about it as being light and dark when it's not actually what the Taoists were meaning. Yeah. Anyway, and another one is unconditional love. And I want to talk about another load of bullshit that's coming out of the New Age community, and that's unconditional love. And this is the story of unconditional love as I understand it. This guy walks into my life. I lend him some money. I lend him my car. He stays in my house. I feed him my food. He impregnates my girlfriend. He stabs my dog, steals all my money, burns my house down, and empties my bank accounts. And what happens at the end of that? If I don't hug him like my brother, then I failed to show unconditional love. It's just another excuse for abuse. It's just another psychopath get out of jail free card.
I seen it on Facebook, and I'm going to say it. Nowadays, these kids are getting away with it because they're being raised by parents that say, if somebody hits you first, go tell an adult. No, My parents told me the same thing. If somebody hits you, whoop their ass and finish it. That's the way
And
it is. And
that's what
they
our
think
team's
that's
all about.
wrong. Yeah, we're not the same. These young, we're not the same as these youngins. I think we were brought up a
Again,
lot
that's what
different, a
our
lot
team is.
tougher.
Yeah. Well, that's what our team's all about. Like, nobody's coming to restaurants. Like, and anyone whose message says wait, right? So let's talk about QAnon, trust the plan, sit and wait. The
Right.
aliens, wait for the ships to come down. Kim Gogan, wait for me to get it together with the
Right.
financial. Yeah, and any one of them who say wait is just playing with you. It's that simple. Like, and I'll say another thing about the New Age movement that irritates me. The name of the game is trying to figure out what each group is up to. What are the SSPs up to? What are the Trumpsters up to? What are these guys what about the Federation? They're all going to. No, there's only one thing to concentrate on here: what we're doing, what the Earthling faction is doing, what the surface dwelling faction is doing. That's the only thing that's important, because all of the factions are playing to control us. If we don't stick up for ourselves, we will be bullied by these higher tech but lower consciousness punks for eternity. And the Great Reset is their final game for that. Like, oh yeah. So a lot of the style of talk that's coming out of the New Age movement just makes me want to bang my head on a wall. It's not about what they're doing; it's about what are you going to do about it.
Yes.
And so,
otherwise,
and
they keep it compliant. And and you're in animation. You're in animated.
And we're working to push disclosure while you're working on this taking down the negative spiritual stronghold side of the enemy. When you walk around, just your daily life, Alabar, do you have your third eye? Is it like wide open? You can just see the demons on people without even, or the light beings on people without even having to concentrate?
No, I have to concentrate. Like, I'm not a space cadet. I'm a very, very practical person. I spend time gardening and building things with hammers and nails and power tools and stuff like that. For me, I work very hard to stay grounded, because in this particular field, the chance that you end up a space cadet is very, very high. And so you have to keep your feet on the ground. You have to stay practical. But if there's somebody who I'm interested in, if I suddenly get curious about a person, if I stare at them for about 15, 20 seconds, then I'll know who their allies are, what sort of consciousness they're running, what their foibles will be, that sort of thing. Like, don't play poker against me, that's for sure.
I'm looking at your channel and I see one of the. I'll probably bring it in maybe at the end of this hour. We're going to take a break at the top of the hour, but one of the podcasts that you did is how technology connects you to demons. Can you expound upon that a little bit?
Well, this is yeah, okay. It's actually quite a bigger question than okay. So we've got reptilians who feed off of human loosh. We've got demons who feed off of human loosh. We've got greys who seem to love it as well, and the mantoids are big fans as well. They all have the same modus operandi. They're all playing the same game with a little bit of variation, Like the reptoids are far angrier, and the mantoids are far more calculating. They've each got their own style, but that is the business they're in. They're in the business of creating loosh for themselves, right? Why are they all doing the same thing? And what we've found is something that Ashiana Dean talked about. If anybody here remembers Ashiana Dean, she was big about 15 years ago. No? Okay. She's worth looking up. She was awesome. But we've actually rediscovered everything that she was talking about. All the things that were important to her, all the things she said. Our teams are going out and getting FaceTime with the problem, and we're finding exactly the same detail. And that is that there is a galactic AI running around taking over worlds and consuming them. The
Right.
reptoids, the mantoids, and the greys are previously conquered species. And now that they control them, yeah, exactly it. Yeah, look, I've got a bit to say about that because our team goes out to CERN. Well, not all the time, but we've been there a bunch of times, right? These guys are and they're all using the same modus operandi because they all have the same master, and all of the loot that comes from Earth eventually gets fed into powering this galactic AI. And when their forerunners came here, like the reptoids and the greys, what did they do? They gave us technology. What technology did they give us? They gave us this one into this communications network, this internet. And what did humanity do? We built an infrastructure, a global infrastructure that allows for a galactic AI to come here and make this its home and take control of the planet for good.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of small factions flying around the galaxy who are trying to evade this AI. We bumped into a bunch of them, but they are so secretive. And I've done some YouTubes where we interviewed one of these factions. But far out, man, like these guys, everybody's on the run from this AI, everybody. And you know, like years and years ago, I picked a fight with my first reptilian. A friend of mine was doing a master's degree in social work, and I'm 6'4" and 250 pounds, right? And she wanted me to bodyguard her while she was feeding. She had the soup van for all the junkies, and she just wanted somebody she knew to look after it. And they all live in this one building called the Gatwick Hotel in Melbourne. Right? All of the junkies. If you're fresh out of jail and you love heroin and you're a total disaster area, that's where you go. You end up in the Gatwick Hotel. And you know, demons galore. You know, I did some astral travel projects, killing as many as I could catch, until I found one that behaved differently. And it was this reptilian was running the build. It was in the manager, and he was running the building and siphoning all the misery off all those junkies and sending it back to Reptilian HQ. Now, I talked to all my mystic friends at the time, and nobody wanted to help me. Nobody wanted to help me pick a fight with it. But what I found was that it wasn't that tough at all. Those things work mostly on reputation. And so I was able to separate the reptilian and the human, and then he lost his job. He wasn't tough enough to run the place anymore, and the reptilian was dead. And so anyway, there was a bit of following drama, but a lot of what they do, they have a really, really tough reputation on the astral plane. They have a really, really tough reputation, but on the astral planes, they are not anywhere near as tough as they are made out to be. And so it actually emboldened me to begin to do regular forays into crushing their outposts and their bases and their personnel, and like as much as I could get my hands on.
Are you an exorcist?
Yeah. There's actually one of my YouTube videos is called Exorcism Before, During, and After. And you'll see I've refined the process down. It's almost conversational. It's a laugh since I've refined the process. But you know, yeah, you can see what she looked like when we did the exorcism. You can see what she looks like 2 weeks later, and she's just a completely different girl.
Is that a title of one of them?
Yeah, Exorcism Before, During, and After.
Exorcist Meet Again: Bone-Chilling Stories from Actual Cases.
No, it's for 18 months ago, so there'll be at least 50 or 60 videos between here and there.
Now, we had a guest that just asked if you could talk a little bit about a walk-in and when someone dies, and maybe a story you could share with us. And walk-in gets into the body and takes over, and they come back, you know.
A positive or negative walk-in? Which one would you prefer? Which story would you prefer?
Negative, yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah, I've got a case at the moment. This guy, he was a school teacher, and he was in a car accident, had a bump on the head, and you know, almost immediately. And he spent a while in hospital, He died. He was dead on the table for 2.5 minutes. I don't quote me on that, but he was dead on the table for a while. So during that time, you have the 3D body, the 4D spirit, the 5D soul. When they die, the 5D soul exits. Now, this is when the 4D spirit starts to break up and the 3D body starts to deteriorate as well. This is the instant that begins. Unless, and the human body is fueled by spiritual energy. And if once that plug-in of the soul is on, then you need, if something else jumps in and plugs themselves into the body, it can revive it. Now, this is not saying that comas are a different thing, but death on the, was it short-term death? I haven't got the right medical terms for it, but if you're dead on the table for a little while, that's their opportunity, because it's like a car that's still running. And if somebody walks out of the car and you can jump back in it in time, you can drive it off as far as it'll go. But you don't have very long before that car is no longer eligible to drive.
Now, does that walk-in, from your experience, able to access all the memories of the person and also have their own personality?
Yeah, well, with the soul, your memories are in 4D. And so it begins with the body. It picks up where the personality left off, and it has all of those memories. However, its motivations are very, very, very different. Like, once a bad guy jumps in there, its entire goal is to create misery, drama, pain and suffering for as many people as it can come into contact with. Because that's how it feeds. That's the purpose. That's the name of the game. That's what it's here to do.
See, one of the things that me and Penny were talking about, and Brenda, is what I noticed with the Mandela effect. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that the dead will come back, and so what I noticed was a lot of people, celebrities, preachers. For example, a guy named Rick Joyner was head of the. He's a Knights Malta, works for the Vatican, but he's over the charismatic churches in America.
Oh, wow. Yeah, great.
Now, this guy. Back in 2012, I was on Facebook and he was one of my friends. Well, he got cancer and he died. And then the next thing you hear was he wasn't dead. And then he was selling water for healing cancer. And then his wife supposedly died. And then a couple years later, she's not dead. And they're both back alive. And then Penny found this video of him, and he's in this big meeting wearing this black robe, and he's saying, "We are going to drink the cup of death." And
Right.
he's like, yeah, and he's
and he was hypnotizing the people that were in there. There was a boy and a girl in there that they were taking the video, and one said, "Wake up, wake up, wake up. We need to get out of here." And he's saying, "Drink from the cup of death." And I'm like, hell no. Who wants to drink from the cup of death? Thank you. Thank you. No, I have to go now. And then also another individual that Susie and I know, we'll just say her name is Jen, because that is her name. And she came to stay with us, and she told Susie at one time, we found out she's a Satanist. We didn't know. She had a Necronomicon, and I'm like, what's that? I had to actually Google it. And she was doing spells and whatnots, and she said to Susie, "Don't tell Penny because she won't understand." But I died.
I'm a walk-in.
Died in New Mexico. She was poisoned in Mexico. She was poisoned, and I took over. I'm a walk-in, and I'm actually Jane Mansfield. Now, she did go to Austin. Jane Mansfield was in Austin. And Jane Mansfield died in a car accident. And every time we were in the car with this person, people tried to kill us in their cars. So when Susie finally told me afterwards, I was like, hell yes, I understand. She's a demon.
Yes. What she said is, she goes, "Don't tell Penny, because I'm a walk-in. I know you understand, but she won't understand." She said, "I'm Jane Mansfield." And she said, "I made a deal with Jen. Jen Parks is dead. She died. and I made a deal with her to get her. I told her I'd get her daughter back, and so I walked into her body, and so at that point, what like Penny was saying, I took her into town one day. She went by she had a nickname. She said was it was I can't remember the name. It was Persimmon or something like that. You know, some demon of death or something. It was her nickname. And when we went into town, I looked up and this big cloud started coming. This
Demon
huge
of
cloud.
Death. I'm sorry. Demon of Death was her nickname. That should have been our first clue. Okay, I'm
Right.
sorry.
And so I see this big cloud and I took a picture of it. It formed a big face of a demon. And I took the picture of the demon's face in the cloud. And I get a phone call at the same time while I'm sitting in my car. And she had gone into the store and I was waiting for her and my son to come out of the store. And I see this thing and I get a phone call. Somebody wanted to come train horses on my property. And but it came up as their name was Hades, Hell's, and that name of that Persimmon or whatever. So Hell was literally calling me on my phone while I'm looking at the demon, and I said I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not answering that call. And I called my son. I said, get out here now. And he goes, but I'm waiting for Jen. I said, I don't care. You're coming out here now because I seen that storm coming. And I mean, this demon followed her, even though supposedly Jane Mansfield was cursed by Anton LaVey in her past life. This demon came with this person and followed it into this body, and the same demon, and that's what we experienced with this. I mean, this is the stuff that seems sci-fi, but it's real.
Well, I'll say that their technologies in this realm are very, very advanced. Like, they don't want to die because if they go through the karmic wheel, they're toast. Like, you know, like there is a point where you've accrued so much karma that there's absolutely no point you'll pay it off, and that's when you get disintegrated and sent back to the cosmic central to get remade, you know, as raw material. So these guys cannot afford to be dead, nor can they sustain themselves just as spirits. They need to be in a body. And I've logged 5 different methodologies that they're using to bounce from body to body to body. And there's better ones and worse ones, but all of them involve doing a number on whoever owned that body first.
So is the first step to actually do the trade for whatever they promise you? You say yes, you can have my body. What's it? Talk us through it.
No, I'm not talking publicly about how they do it. I'm not explaining their methodologies to the general public so that anyone can extrapolate these. They're not really that high tech as far as spiritual work goes. They're not really that complicated, but in only in some cases do they put you in full control of the body, and only in some cases, and sometimes you only get it temporarily or a few, you know, maybe an hour a day if you're lucky.
Could you tell our public some of the pitfalls to avoid?
Only the dark side uses it. Like, in the light side, they're all about free will and total freedom and expression. And you don't need if everybody's doing good things and everybody's a nice, trustworthy person, you don't need a contract. You don't need that. If there's trust there, there's no requirement for a contract. So any kind of agreement is completely unnecessary. And if you're out there making agreements and pledges to deities, be they nice or nasty,
Right.
this is not necessary. They don't need your payment. That, like, a proper deity is completely self-sustaining. If he needs something from you, then his biology is probably different from a standard deity, and he's impersonating one. If that answers the question.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
False light's a serious problem.
Now, you've got. I'm just going to read a couple of the titles from some of the videos that you have. One is Demonic Management Interview, Part 1, The Lord of Hate.
Yep.
This one looks pretty good. Who Wants to Live Forever? Body Snatching Time Jumpers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I talk about how we're finding a bunch of different people who shouldn't be, you know, humans who are acting like demons doing possession type stuff.
Now, we have about, I'm pulling it up right now, so hold on just a sec. I'm going to bring this in because this is about 8 minutes and we have 10 minutes before we go to break. So 1 second.
Oh, thank you for sharing that one.
And, oh, that's weird. It took me to a different place. Hold on a second. Share.
Yeah, I always use the term, Penny, they have issues. And if I say somebody has issues, that means they have demons.
Right.
No, we say big shoes. They have big shoes because it's silent. They've got big shoes, then we should probably stay away from them.
They have what?
They have big shoes. I like
Not big
shoes.
issues, just big shoes.
just big shoes.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I say issues. They have issues. Oh my God, they have issues.
They have big shoes. I like
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Okay, now just 1 second. Here we go.
Wow. Wow.
Does this have sound or does it sound?
No, this part doesn't. Now it does. That's just an intro that doesn't have sound.
I thought I'd call this video Who Wants to Live Forever because we found some people who really did. For those of you who are not aware, I have a class starting on June 13th. If you want to be part of it, then by all means, click onto my website and look at the class list. Look at the curriculum. It is the most comprehensive thing out there. You can find that on alobarjones.com, and if you put your email into the slot there, then you'll get an invitation to the class. So I called this video Who Wants to Live Forever because we actually found some people who genuinely did want to live forever. You see, we found them kind of by accident, or not, as the case may be. Our elite the elite members of our team have a small healing group. We heal through people who would generally be considered lost causes. You know, people with severe mental health issues, people with drug addiction, people who've lost their marbles. So this is what our team does, and I think we're the only ones in the world who are doing this. And so we have one client. He has maturity issues, and our initial read was that it had many past lives as an aristocrat. And as an aristocrat, you never have to grow up, you never have to do anything to yourself, you don't understand chores, you don't understand physicality. It's kind of a joke. And his mum was unhappy about the situation, so she called us. Now, what we actually found after working with him for a bit is that the original soul, 5D soul, 4D spirit, 3D body, right? And we usually work in the 4D spirit where all of the mess happens. But on this occasion, we looked at the 5D soul. And what we found was that he actually had a passenger, he had a Klingon. And so we started peeling him off, and it was a long process, but it became a singular soul, not one who is being hijacked. Now, there's a rare process. We don't see this very often at all. In fact, I've only ever seen it once before. And it takes a lot of magical prowess in order to perform a task like this. The engineering involved is very, very difficult. So we kind of looked around to see who was doing this. But we found a team of 4 wizards, and their job is they work for aristocrats. And when Grandpa, what's his name, died, Grandpa, old lord of this or that, old Mucky Muck, or the captain of industry, most often they'll choose one of their grandchildren to subsume. They use astrology as part of the selection process because in astrology it sort of dictates what sort of life you're going to have. It sort of lays it out. for someone like that, and they go and they literally choose from amongst their grandkids. Yeah, I want that one. And when Grandpa dies, this group of 4 wizards is called up, and they they catch his soul before it goes into the reincarnation process, and drop it into some unsuspecting kid's body. Now, yeah, not a nice thing to do, because it's theft, body theft. There's no other way to think of it. I don't know how else to approach the subject. But, the willingness of the client, the carrier, is irrelevant. They're not given a choice, and it also makes a total mess of their life. So these so we probably still, and this group I think has been operating for quite some time. And what this means is probably the same idiots who started World War I have passed down their wealth and their power to themselves so that they can continue that kind of idiocy. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm very, very impressed by that. Yeah, we're so happy to hear that such terminal idiots are taking power and dropping through history. When we looked at this, strangely enough, these 4 wizards had a tidal wave of karma coming at them, right? An unlimited amount of karma. I've never seen anything like it. And they had shielded themselves from this karma, like they had created barriers. And, there's like, they're little people, and the tidal wave of karma is like this, threatening over them. It's got like a little barrier, a little shell around themselves to protect themselves from that karma. So our team being who we are, we immediately smashed those shells. We immediately removed their protection, and karma washed over them like a melon farm. Like those guys, I've never seen anybody lawyer so hard. It wasn't me. No, they asked for it. No, like, the kind of lawyer who will say anything to get out of it. Because they can't fight that much karma, but they can try and dodge it. And my favourite one is, it was God's will for me to break God's will, which is such a non sequitur. But, they carry this stuff out. Obviously, if God allowed me to break God's will, that's obviously what God wanted. So clearly, so justice has gone to them, and they'll never escape what the punishment that they have brought upon themselves. I think the world might just be a little bit saner in our future in terms of these idiots destabilize the personality of the person who they subsume. 2 souls in one body, it's not a comfortable mix. It's not. And so the kind of insanity that produces no longer cascades down through history. No, there's no longer these idiots leapfrogging through history, just causing mayhem. I mean, let's face it, you have to be a psychopath to want to steal your grandchild's life, and you have to actually not care about anybody except yourself. But now the idiots who have done this leapfrogging, have done this soul passenger game, they're also started to get sucked into that tidal wave of karma. They have their own dramas to sort out now, and hopefully we'll see these young lordlings, or older lordlings even, start to behave less like idiots. I'm serious about the course. It's, how do I say it? If you do that course and you complete that course and you absorb all the knowledge that's in there, there's only a 99% chance you'll come out a wizard. And seriously, what other job is there that you would want? What other career could you imagine that you would enjoy? Have a look on the website and see the class list. It is the most comprehensive thing you'll find anywhere. And so shoot me an email, get on board, because the class, well, it's awesome, without being funny about it. Love to you all. May the force be with you. Bye for now.
Okay, that was excellent. And it's on pause right now. I want to make sure I'm not going to start it over again. Hold on a sec. Okay. So that brings us to the top of the hour. We're going to take a short break of 5 minutes, and we will be right back. Brenda, are you ready?
You know, I am.
Okay.
We'll be right back, everybody. Hang out.
Break it down. Break it down. Break it down. Break it down.
And we're back. Just like that.
So it doesn't look like a torus, but in essence.
So we lost Dr. Lampshade.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Well, he's still there, but he's on a break. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mute him for a second because I wasn't sure. It sounded like somebody from outer space was trying to contact us.
Might have been.
Or inner space. Now, one thing that you said that was significant to me, Alabar, is you said that they would catch the soul and drop it into a body. So Michael Aquino said he was born dead, right? But I had this feeling that at some point in his inception on this planet, and I had researched him a while before, it wasn't Anton LaVey because he died in 1997. Michael Aquino was born October 16th, 1946. Anton was older than him. He was born April 11th, 1930. So it wasn't Anton LaVey, but I had this feeling someone died and they put that entity, that soul, into Michael Aquino. That was just a feeling that I had.
Well, look, it's just a question of engineering, and they have the skills to do it. Like we're fine, they have and that YouTube, and I've kind of forgotten all about that, but they had a dedicated team specifically for making sure that their people never die.
Now, Hitler had
I'd like you to talk about that. Yeah.
Hitler had the Uber super soldier, okay, in which his premise was with Joseph Mengele that they would upload, and again, we talk about the AI, that they would upload the consciousness into a supercomputer, and then they would download it, which many people think that's actually what happened with Michael Aquino, is that he actually uploaded his consciousness and then downloaded it into actual cloned bodies. And so we have no idea how many Michael Aquinos right now are running around like boys from Brazil with the Hitlers. Because I actually came from what's called Project Genesis. The subproject is Eve, and it's not. There is no paper on it. I've had a bunch of people say, "Oh, I know what that is," and I actually started Gary Wayne on our show on Awake Nation because his was Genesis 6. Not the same thing. It's not my MK Ultra project because many of them you will not find them anywhere, but it was also a cloning project, and I believe that I'm actually the daughter of Joseph Mengele and Irene Schoenbein, and I was generated via test tube babies, and I think that he perhaps took the ovum from Irene Schoenbein, who I look like, and then created me. So I believe their premise in their offering as they created these super soldiers, genetic recombinant DNA anomalies, if you will. I believe that their actual goal was to offer, and they did offer, eternal life through the Uber super soldier, through the uploading of the consciousness. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's an organic way to do everything, and there's an artificial way to do everything, right? And the organic way to do it, would be of the kind we've described. And I am aware of a group who say that if they can get their body to carry enough Kundalini for 2 human beings, and then go through a procedure, then the amount of Kundalini will run 2 different bodies, and they can generate a fresh body. Just pull it out of the ether.
Damn.
Yeah, well, look, that's a pretty cool thing to be doing. And so there's a biological way to do that. There's an organic way to do it. And everything that the artificial does is not as good. It's like a photocopy. It's never as good as the original.
Yeah, it's kind of like Multiplicity when they created the first clone. It's with Keaton. They created the first clone, and then they created the second clone, and then the 2 clones created a third clone, Steve, who was shaving his tongue. And they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with Steve?" And they say, "Well, you know how when you make a copy and you make a copy of the copy, that copy's not so sharp because Steve had some."
Yeah, no, I like that Michael Keaton movie. He was a good actor, that guy. I enjoy his stuff. Yes. Yeah.
Now, Alabar, I wanted to ask, what does it look like when you get together a team of skilled astral projectors and you do one of these raids on, say, a deep underground military base, like what does that look like? Because I know other people from time to time talk about doing these types of missions, but not in a coordinated team fashion the way that you are. And so we'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, look, yeah, a lot of people do these missions solo, and when you do this stuff solo, you'll go through different stages, you'll discover different stuff, and then at each stage there's a puzzle, and I call it a puzzle. And if you're used to this sort of work, then you'll understand what I mean. But you'll go as far as the puzzle you can't solve. And these are, like the astral planes is built out of mental and emotional energy. And so you need each mental and emotional problem, you have to find a mental and or emotional solution. And when there's 10 of you flying around, somebody always has the answer. Like, these are all very developed minds. These are all very talented people. And so somebody always has the answer. Usually what we'll do is, we serve Gaia. We have trust issues with just about every day and every master. Not because they're intrinsically bad, it's just because there is the overlay or the clip off, as the ancient Hebrews used to call it, or the false light matrix, is just trying to intercede with every interaction you have with the astral planes. And you'll know if somebody's caught it, if somebody's caught false light knowledge, because they're trying to be Gandhi, or they're trying to be Mother Teresa, or they're faking being holier than thou. That's not the goal. That's not what we're here to do. Where was I with the question? I lost track of which question I was answering. Yeah.
Well,
It's
in
okay.
terms of a raid. So then once you get these people together,
Yes.
yeah.
Teamwork. I'm a big proponent of teamwork because I played in bands for 50 years. Okay, so I'm a team player, and I think that's the best way to approach a situation. Because no, you're right, we don't have all the answers. Someone else with their unique talents may be able to solve that situation. So I think that's extremely smart.
Yeah, well, look, we will have a chat like this, exactly like this. In the beginning, we'll talk about what's news, what we found out, what we discovered, any intel, what's going on in personal lives, have a few jokes. Then we'll select a goal for the day. We'll pick out what we want to do. Then we'll switch off the cameras so that the bandwidth is not trying to keep video of all of us staring at the back of our eyelids. And then we'll keep the audio going. And then we go to a ready room, Gaia's ready room. And what we do is we skip forward in time and download all of the energies that we need for this mission. So we skip forward to the end of the mission, download the energies we need that we don't have. We don our time distortion armor so that anything they throw at us, it takes 100 years to travel last inch. We put on an armor gifted to us by the sun, which repels everything anyway. And we also have an invisibility cloak, so they can't even, it's not until most often it's not until it's too late. It's not until their world is collapsing that they realize somebody was there in the first place. So, but we do get into fights quite often, and that's my job, is to lead, is to win those fights. And I've been doing this, like I said, from the beginning. I've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, and
So like a fight, what is it? So like let's say there's an underground military base,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
And you got your team together. You've got everyone. They've donned their armor. They're in the ready room, and they're going to go in. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you finding like, are you dealing with demonic spiritual strongholds, and when you deal with them, it has knock-on effects in physical reality, or like, what is it? Like, can you give me an example? Like, yeah.
Okay, so it's our opinion that every human who works for underground military bases or the deep state has some level of possession. As that education required to get in there is through the Freemasons, and the Freemasonic rites are demonic, even though they're not publicly stated to be so. And so what we do is we pull the demons out of everybody who's in these places. Now, usually what we're seeing, there was a pattern that we were doing it for 4 or 6 months, like just continuously, consistently. That was like what we were doing, is clearing them all. And what we would see is we'd see an admin level, a management level, a lab level or two, a slave level, and then on the 6th level will be the monster that they feed the corpse to. I have no idea where they bloody well got that. But it was, and we never really went down there. Or we went down that we would throw in these light bombs that we created, rather than go toe to toe with the thing. But when a dark consciousness is controlling the body like that, it doesn't belong there. And if you exercise the dark consciousness out, then the body will collapse because it's got nothing else to power it.
Now, ALOBAR, you said that you go in teams. Are you guys awake? And can you do this in an awakened state, or do you have to be asleep?
Yeah, look, I'll talk about the technical side of this, because dreaming and the work we do are very, very similar. Like, you've got to have your brain running at 2 different speeds. Part of it will be running in theta brainwave, which has between 4 and 7 electrical blips per second, and that's you dream there, hypnosis happens there, and astral projection happens there. And the other half of your brain has to be running in beta brainwave, which is the brainwave we're using now, which is 14 to 28 electrical blips per second. And it's kind of like rubbing your tummy and patting your head with your brain. And it happens naturally when you're dreaming. But the problem with dreaming is you have difficulty directing it. You have difficulty figuring out where you start and what the plan is. But if you start awake and then go into a semi-dream state, it's very, very, you get lots of control over where you go and what you do.
I do a lot of things when I'm asleep. I also can reoccurring dreams. I can change their outcome. I've managed to be able to do that over the years, because a lot of my reoccurring dreams are not good. They're bad. They're bad for other people. They're bad. So I've learned to change them. Don't ask me how. I just do it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we talk about something called the Terminator Protocol. If you've seen the Terminator movie, they figure out that John Connor's going to be a problem later on, so they go back in time and set up the fix him good and proper, And what we find is there's a lot of you've heard of the 144,000, all of these souls sent to Earth to fix the situation. Well, that's one of 6 programs that we know about. There are a lot of others, and everybody who gets one of those imported souls is identified by the dark side, and so,
which makes it pretty clear as to the answer when people come to me. Why am I targeted? Susie has a question regarding someone that we discovered, who she has a demon named Ra. It's an individual that her name is Linda, and her husband is in jail for child pornography. People are following her all over the world.
It's a huge cult.
It's a huge cult. She says her demon is Ra. I could not listen to her, ALOBAR. I saw that demon. I said, no, I cannot listen to what's coming out of her mouth. I am way too sensitive for this. I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Send me the details. Our team fixes people like that.
Okay, because that was my question. How can you get rid of this demon? I know I did an exorcism once.
Send me your photo. Send me a photo, and our team will deal with it. Look, the cult is being held together as that particular demon.
Yes.
Who, we'll just say one of his names is Ra. I'm sure he has a bunch of other identities. I think he's just putting on a con artist face for this.
Go
She
ahead,
claims
Susie.
that she died, or that and now she talks like a man, and it's a spirit called Ra that took over Linda Good McGillis's body, and it leads the cult, and she's head of the Galactic Federation of Light as well.
I got a question then. When you're ready.
Yeah,
Question.
sure.
Good. Hollywood often, like Penny and I do this dream team thing, and we often do downloads, and what Hollywood sticks in. They seem to have that rule of putting things in plain sight. So what you're discussing, I'm curious, what kind of films or series stand out to you that echo, even if slightly off, what we're discussing? Like, what do they put in plain sight? You mentioned Terminator, if that's one.
Oh yeah, no, being John Malkovich, actually. Like, if you remember that one, it's from a while ago. But as far as I can tell, there's not a single movie that doesn't have a magical principle that it's trying to embed. It doesn't have either a magical principle or a what's the word I'm looking for? Or a manifestation. They want us to, the Mad Max series that's gained a revival is getting to see how people can enjoy there being an apocalypse. Right? It's endless. It's absolutely endless. Right? And there's not much coming out of Hollywood that doesn't have that kind of underpinning.
Right, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
You're seeing, like you talked about technology and being used and everything. What we see a lot of times, I believe, I wonder if you agree on this, that a lot of technology enters in under the guise of benevolent intentions, and then they're taken and twisted for maniacal intentions. So it's like they're often, even like we say, intellectual property is taken and twisted, and their dark narrative is applied. Humanity is not being allowed to evolve as it naturally would, and I do believe we all have good in us in a sense, and it's being hijacked. And I want to know your feelings on that.
All technologies that are being introduced on Earth right now are being fed to us by the extraterrestrials, by the Great Nothing, by this artificial intelligence, this intergalactic artificial intelligence. So not intergalactic, it's just in our galaxy that we can confirm. Right? Everything's been given to us by him, and his whole game is to exploit us in one way or another. Now, let's say, that computer chip in the brain, right, that they want to have everybody, so he can directly interface with everybody. That the Great Nothing can directly interface with everybody, right?
Guilty.
Neuralink, that one, right? Yes, it'll probably help a few people with Alzheimer's. Yes, it will. I'm sure dementia will be solved by that. And I'm sure, you'll skip through university a lot faster if you can read 500 books an hour through your chip, right? Great. But that's just the sales pitch. The real point is to have the Great Nothing in everybody's head, telling them what they want, what it wants them to think.
Thank you for saying that, because it's exactly what I've been trying to tell people.
Yes, me too.
Why it's in my
That's
screen.
sort of what the Wizard of Oz is sort of about, a little bit about what we're, yeah.
I sent you that picture to your messenger. We would appreciate any intercession that your team could do on.
I was actually thinking about this. We caught up with one of our clients who was one of those hopeless cases. We've been working on it, and what we found is that at those dance parties, we thought it was just a narcotics injury, like she'd just done something bad to her brain, too much drugs, But what we found is that there was one of these dark wizards at a dance party, and he's just hanging around the dance party looking for the people looking for his next target, looking for his next prey. And we found him, and we killed all of his interdimensional allies, which makes him a lot weaker. We found that he had a filing cabinet with photographs and a list of all the spells that he'd cast on each individual. There were hundreds. Right? Wow. This guy did at least 8 ceremonies a day to get more out of the people who were on his list. Right? But he was part of an organization, and our work expanded to take down that organization.
Wow.
I think, yeah, like we're not messing around, right? And the weapons we've developed over the years, the methods we use, the protection that we use, they cannot stand up to us. Like literally, their detection is their death. As soon as we figure out they're there, it's not a big deal for us to finish them up.
I have a question for you. Is there going to be any kind of like documentary or film that illustrates all this, that the audience can kind of grab on? Usually they can digest it through art because they're junkies for art.
Yeah, look, we've gone through a couple of milestones in just the last week, and I don't know how to explain it to people what we've done. I actually that documentary is a really good idea because it needs a lot of diagrams. It probably requires a fair bit of pre-reading. You definitely need to, like the topics that I'm talking about, the technology I'm using, the things. It takes 10 years of training to even keep up with us. Yeah, you want to be flying astral projecting for 10 years just to keep up with us. And right now we're in the final stages of, I think, finishing off Demonkind forever, pushing them off the planet for good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Brian
light question for you. I'm echoing all of a sudden. I used to cast films and stuff, so I can totally see.
That sounds like the funnest job.
It is the best.
That sounds like the funnest job.
One of the best jobs. I'll tell you, if I was casting the role of you in a film, I think I'd contact Ben Fraser. So yeah, I think Ben Fraser.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, let's manifest a film about what we're doing. That would be.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
ALOBAR, there was reports recently about people, I don't know who it was, ETs or who, but they were trying to free Elon Musk from entity attachment, and then they reported that they failed. And it made me immediately think of you and your team and think, wow, I wonder if ALOBAR and his team and then this other team, they all together worked and took a tilt at Elon. Maybe that might make a difference.
Well, put me in touch with them, because whether they fly with us or they're just an allied team, I'm happy either way. But look, the more of us there are, the better. Look, and recently the head of the European team, somebody attempted to poison her, and our team has been there to help her all the way. Right. So if something goes wrong in that team, they've at least got people to call up who can help.
I have individuals to send to you who are very interested. People like Sean Bond of the Psionic League, maybe Mario, who's been in our audience tonight. People who they've been trying to, take a shot at the evil forces on their own, and grouping up with you sounds like a really great idea. Yeah, no, look,
we're always recruiting, and we only take about a third of the people who apply. So you got to be good and you got to be honest. Those are our requirements. Also, you've got to be able to look after yourself if stuff goes sideways, because we're not going to stop to pick you up. We don't have time to face them and solve your problems at the same time. You've got to look after yourself. But I want to hear from them. I definitely want to hear from them. I look forward to the 3-person emails that you're sending out, Brian.
I wanted to throw out there that for my entire life, I've spent in astral plane fighting demons and battling them physically, and I've seen angels and demons, and I go into the astral plane too, and go after them as well.
Yeah, look, and it's taken us a very, very long time to figure out what the hell to do about them. How do you destroy an idea? How do you finally put an idea together, put a thought form together? And one of the issues that our team chose to put its weight behind is the recent World Health Organization vote. We know that those guys are, and we came to we got a list of delegates. We did our research, health ministers of all different countries, and we scanned a whole bunch of them. And what the conclusion that we came to was that Baphomet had a dark covenant with every single person there. No human would willingly sell out their species, but if it's Baphomet wearing 200 meat suits, and and everybody in the crowd is Baphomet voting for the same thing, then that might have gone through. And we had. Yeah, sorry, I have a question.
I have one. Does he smell like the reptilians? Like where somebody would? I've encountered reptilians, and when they take human form, I smell them if they walk by me. I know they walk around. I know they're amongst us. I've known since I was 7. So I would think that he would smell like them, have a bad odor. So
I'm not spending enough time with Freemasons. You see, if you see that interview with Baphomet that I put on there, he is the guy at the tippity top of the hierarchy for the Bank of International Settlements. And the Bank of International Settlements is the reserve bank for reserve banks. It's the absolute tippity top of the financial system. And the guys who he recruits are all 33rd degree Masons for those banking jobs. But I don't spend enough time with tippy top bankers to know what they smell like. I wish I could say something about it.
That is such a synchronicity, because I just watched a documentary on the CIA, and it's the first time I ever heard about that bank, and they listed that bank as involved in Nazi Germany. I was like, what? So that's pretty wild. You just said that.
Well, those guys financed both sides of the war. Like, the Knights Templar were hunted within Europe, and in 1309, an assassinate all Knights Templar went out across Europe, and a conspiracy that on the same day, and a conspiracy that big can't stay secret. So a lot of the Knights Templar fled to a geographically isolated, like by mountains area, which is now Switzerland. And that conflict between the bankers in Switzerland and the Vatican in Rome, who ordered them all killed. Well, the final word is that the Vatican is guarded by Swiss Guard. All of the Vatican is now working for the bankers. If the Swiss Guard's there, that if the priests don't do something they don't like, they can put them to death. And there's nobody there to stop them.
That's what seems to be going on. Big battle not to have the money system disappear. And there's all these people with ideas on how to replace it and use a different system. I mean, the world would change without the money system. It would totally change, where there'd be no longer, people being murdered over how much money they have, and billionaire fights and things like this. It's like, if the money system was just changed. And I had this, like, as a film writer, I was visioning that idea of, like, goodness was your currency. If you actually were good, hard.
Yeah.
Really cool.
If you change any part of it, you'll improve its function. Like, it'll just, it's like the most retarded way to do things. But that's how Baphomet wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He doesn't want.
Yeah, the idea of scarcity, the idea of any economic system that runs on the idea of scarcity, that you don't provide enough, and that makes people want it, and it fuels the economy. That's the stupidest idea in the world when I heard it in economics. It's like, what, scarcity, so people do without, so it's more valuable? Just what? Why is it evil to have the idea that we shouldn't have scarcity? We can have abundance, all of us.
Look, and since 1945, since the end of World War II, we've had a period of uninterrupted prosperity. And that's 80 years ago now, right? Where's all that wealth? Like, why has everybody got to pay for why has everybody got mortgages that they can't pay? Why is the financial system under strain? What happened to all of that? Where did they take it? I won't try and answer that question.
I know, I agree with you. It's like
our society is a total mess, and the banking system's at the center of it.
Well, it's so funny that one of the most popular board games ever was Monopoly. And it's like when you play Monopoly and someone's winning Monopoly, the game is boring. It's over. It's boring. We're in a really bad version of Monopoly game, where it's just like, can we stop playing now? Let's go play Parcheesi. Yeah,
totally. Do you want to hear something really funny? Monopoly actually began, when it first came out, it became really popular because it had 2 sets of rules, right? One for cooperation, and then another game, same board, same pieces, and use cooperation in the first one and use individualism in the second one. And somewhere along the line, they deleted the cooperation rules. And now we've got a game that's in every household, which makes all the children cry.
You know,
At some point in the game, every time you're going to go, Janie, I'm sorry, all of your money, that's mine. All of your properties, that's mine. And she just falls like every time. It's like the point of the game.
It's so funny you said that too, not to hog this, but I just want to add what you just said, just blew my mind, because my son was, when he was little, my one surviving son, when he was little, this honeypot wife was with us, right? And she was chiding me that I was too nice, playing too nice all the time, letting him win and being too nice. And so I asked them, I said, do you want me to play it as I can play it apart from my nature? And they said, yeah. So I started playing apart from my nature and I started winning like crazy. And they're like, we don't like this, Dad. I'm like, yeah, neither do I. It's a stupid game.
Yes, I think Susie had a question.
I just had a comment to make. When you're talking about Baphomet, I've studied a lot of the Norse mythology because my last name is the Altfather or the Allfather, like Odin, and so I'm like a descendant from him. So I've studied a lot of these stories, and the one that comes to mind when Baphomet is Loki, because Loki is the trickster god who he wanted to be the lord or god over the Midgard Earth, right? And he has the ability to be male or female or animal. Okay, so he can shapeshift into any one of those. So he can actually give birth. He gave birth to a horse. He became a female horse and gave birth to a baby. So that is like a Baphomet. It's like a combination of animal, female, male. It's a very, very evil, entity, demon. Yeah.
Well, look, as you might guess from these runes in the background, like I'm actually pretty into Norse mythology and the Nordic religion.
Yes, I was just texting Brenda. You have symbols on the behind you. We have like equations on our.
I am too.
Right.
I'm very much into it.
Yeah. What are those?
The runes,
look,
it's words, language.
Yes, I'm asking him. What are the ones behind him?
Do you want to know how it works, or what is the what? Yeah, okay. So you're familiar with the waveform. When it hits the right information, it becomes the particle, right? It needs information to do so, and these symbols are a stamp that tells the universe what to turn the waveform into. And when people look at them, they are further fueled. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So, this one's give me some land. This is like fill up my courses. This one's for my family. This one here, it's all good sport.
I got a question for you. I never thought of this before, so I want to throw it to you. I think you're the right guy to ask. When children are born into this world, do you feel they come fully protected, armored, or do you feel that they are helpless and vulnerable to these forces?
Oh, I get you. All right. So here's because they are innocent at that stage, they live in. So each emotion has an astral realm that matches it. So if you go through a depressive period and you get really sad, then you go to the depression realms. You go to the emotional reality of deep, deep depression. And sometimes you'll get a demon that jumps on you and then you stay there. There's no way out, right? Now, when you're a child, you are innocent, so you are not visiting those places. You're totally immune from that. And so, yeah, but that's not the same as protection, because the way that demons function, they reincarnate with you. When you die, then you wake up. And I've pulled demons off of kids who are hours old. There's no other way for them to get there than by reincarnation. And you'll see the interviews I've done online that'll probably tell you the same thing.
Okay, one more question. It's the Hollywood side of it now, the filmmaking side, not Hollywood, but often in films they use the mirror. So like a dark thing will look in the mirror and see something different, or won't see a reflection at all. It's even in a lot of the legends and storytelling from the past. So do you feel that mirrors offer a device of some sort to spot incongruity or something that's not quite right in the person's reflection? or is that just Hollywood garbage?
Yeah. I used to own a crystal ball, and it was polished to a mirror sheen. It was black obsidian, and so you could see, and you could see over. My friend made fun of me because I spent $500 on a rock, and I said to him, it's five. Let's imagine that it does what we hear it's supposed to do. It helps you see over time and distance. Do you think that'll be worth $500 to do that? And he goes, "You've got to find out, mate. You go find out. You tell me." I went, yeah, the mirror thing's real. Like, it's, how do I put it? Because of the replication of reality, there's a switch moment, and if you can catch that switch moment and redirect it, you can see whatever you want, whatever question you're asking. Yeah. Yeah, so
And
yes,
then-
mirrors are a real thing. Yeah, it's a real issue. Yeah.
And then I've heard that for that reason, because the mirrors as a physical object can hold energy, including negative energy, the way that you can avoid that is instead of using a physical hard mirror, you can use a bowl of water and then change out your water at the end of each session. And that way you don't have this mirror object containing too much negative trapped energy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's a stylistic way to do it. Yeah. And every wizard has their own favorite ways to do things. So yeah.
And you also
Yes,
you seem very confident and very fearless. I like it, like a leader's. When I'm casting mind right now, I'm seeing qualities. I'm not doing a bromance. I'm just saying I see qualities here. Yeah. So it's like, you've got this confidence showing, you've got this fearlessness showing, you've got this, like, oh, here's a guy I'd follow into battle. Is that something you always had, or did you go through some experiences?
No. Look, but it's a question of fearless or stupid, but I've lived in 8 different countries and I speak 3 foreign languages. So like, I just do whatever I bloody want.
I can relate to the stupid part.
Yeah. I come up with something. Yeah, that's what I stand back, and that's how it plays out. So, yeah, and somebody said about this Jones family, they said, all you guys, you don't ask anybody's permission, you just do it, and then see how it plays out. Like, it's, and not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. I don't think myself as fearless, but like, if you see it, you might be right.
Well, that's the thought too that comes to mind. We're talking about, disruptive forces and things like this that are hijacking everything. And it's like, what is that? I always think of this as a writer too, that if a cataclysmic event did occur worldwide, you would see people surface right into their fitting skin. Like they would fit in that world, like The Walking Dead, where others don't fit. And that's what I'm saying. I'm spotting that in you, that you would be able to be a leader in that terrible time.
Oh yeah. I'd love to be an apocalyptic warlord. That'd be the best job ever. I mean, right? So like, maybe forging a crew of white wizards to save the world. That'd be one. That's a cool thing.
I totally see that.
You remind me a little bit of Liam Neeson.
I've been told that.
Right?
Right.
I'm looking at your face and the timbre of your voice as a singer. I focus in on voices and frequencies.
I was dying to go into channel with Lucifer and go, I will search for you and I will find you. And the skill set is a nightmare for you. I want to say that to him so much. I'm dying for that moment. That'd be great.
Penny's like a casting world. She's able to pick out people.
I know. Somebody said, I feel like the human LinkedIn, like God is the original LinkedIn, but I'm kind of like the human LinkedIn. So I link people together in their little Hollywood squares.
Hey, I'm up for another vacation. Let's go.
There you go.
No vacation for you because you end up getting bit by snakes.
You know what?
Mario is in the chat, and Mario also struck me like you strike me. It's like that kind of presence, very calm, very smart, and it's like it's really cool, And Brian's picture is great up there because it looks like
I know Brian all he needs is his samurai sword. Seriously,
I've not figured that out yet. I don't know why Brian freezes every time.
I
he comes
know. Well,
on.
he's in a remote location, kind of, but
Oh,
no,
well,
I
he-
just thought the runes were kind of cool because of all the symbols that we have on our thing, and so I'm like noticing kind of a little bit of a similarity, which is weird.
And it's you know what, the runes and everything, that was the language or the writing that Odin studied, was the runes. And also I spoke today on the show about the word and how important the word is, and words are spells, and you speak spells or you spell spellings. So it's so important that you speak the right thing, and that you know that it's always the truth and the good thing. And kind of went into that today a little bit about that. And so I love what you said about the runes and how they represent actually messages within the writing.
Yeah,
Could you
no,
could you
it's a
tell me a little bit
language.
more about that?
It's a language that doesn't have a vocal match. Like this is it speaks pure. It's a purely conceptual language, and I'm coming to the conclusion that it's actually two different sets of symbols forged together. Like you can see which one. This one here, right? That one you can see the 24 Elder Futhark runes in that. However, you will not see them in this one or in this one either. And I actually think the things called the staves are a different language. And I saw some research out of, I think it was Slovenia, that says that this stave language is actually from the elves or a Fey language. And this one, its origin is still unclear, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see we'll see. If I had all of the time in the
Can
world
you
to
read
research these things,
can you read that language actually?
yeah. Yeah. If I
Really?
stare at a room for long enough, it'll tell me what it means, what for. Yeah.
You know, you just
But
made
I
me
also want.
finish your thought.
Yeah, but every single company has a logo or a logos, and within each one, you can have. They function just the same as these. This is a symbol that can attract attention, and that attention goes into literally the spirit of the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what a lot of CEOs don't realize is that if you actually spent time talking to the spirit of your company, it'd tell you everything you needed to know but nobody's doing that.
Huh.
So I'm going to tell you, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I'm pretty sure people would like to know where they can find you. So can you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you?
Okay, so I do a lot of rambling on YouTube. I talk lots on YouTube. So ALOBARJones.com and ALOBAR Jones on YouTube, and my website is ALOBARJones.com. We're doing, and our teams are constantly doing new and exciting stuff. Right, the video that we saw before, where we bumped into the Dark Side's reincarnation team, or the Let's Never Die engineering team, right? Yeah, that's it's kind of a sideshow to the things we're really doing. So it's but it was an interesting enough story that it was worth a YouTube.
Do you have a Facebook or anything like that?
I've got a Facebook too. Yeah.
Do you
And
know
then
who you
you
were
do
in a
sessions.
past life?
Oh, sorry.
This
Yeah.
time,
I do face-to-face sessions over Zoom. I have a class that starts on Wednesday, and so if you want to, if you complete that class, you'll probably be in the top 5 to 10% of wizards in the world at the moment.
Well, Mario is definitely going to reach out to you. I probably will also. Brian, what was that? What did you have to say?
Oh, I think it's just mostly mentioning that ALOBAR does one-on-one sessions as well. I'm definitely going to be availing myself of that soon. We're scheduled.
You're booked in for next week, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So what's your
I'm
website,
really looking
ALOBAR?
forward to that. Yeah, I'm
Me
really
too.
looking forward to that. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Me too. Where do people? What is your website to specifically book with you, ALOBAR?
No, ALOBARJones.com. Okay, and if you click through the links, there's a booking methodology there. Usually, if you've got a really big problem, like my kid's a junkie, and can you solve that? Like, there's a thing where you can talk to me for 15 minutes first, and I can tell you if that problem's solvable or what. There's lots of things our team can do, but what your expectations and if our skills meet it. That being said, we've got some of the best white wizards around. There's a lot of talent in these teams, and any issues that we have, it gets fed to a whole group of very talented people. So we don't miss anything.
That's good. And Tom, where can everybody find you?
New website's going up.
Ooh.
www.rockonamerica.tv. So it's actually going up. It's working. So I checked it out, Penny. It's working. So yeah.
And how can people help you, Tom? Do you have a fundraiser or a PayPal that they can help contribute to get your movie made?
I do. Yeah, I do. I always have to write it down. I'm like anti-money for some reason. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, same here. I actually put it in my phone, Tom.
Yeah. I can't wait to get the Monopoly game.
In case you couldn't remember it.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, at Reclaim Matrix is the PayPal. Yeah.
At Reclaim Matrix.
At Reclaim Matrix. But I got to tell you, this is great. I really enjoyed this show with you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Alobar. And Brian, where can everybody find you?
Right now, I'm trying to direct everyone to find me at the fulldisclosuremovement.org because of our conference coming up next month in the middle of July in Florida. We're quite excited about that. We're trying to get, hopefully the Australian government will free ALOBAR to let him come from down under to attend our conference, and then I'll make sure he gets stage time for sure, because I want to help recruit as many light workers as possible to join the work that he's leading.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and it's actually the American government that is yet to provide me with a visa. So we'll see what happens next.
But I have a friend.
They do ask for social media when you apply for a visa.
If all else fails, I have a friend that lives out there that I've known for like 30 years. And you know what he came up with? I can adopt him and bring him here.
Right.
I can't marry him. He's already married, but I can adopt him and bring him here. So if all else fails,
that's what I need.
We will adopt you.
Adopt ALOBAR Indiana Jones.
A godfather.
Adopt ALOBAR now. And Susie,
that's cool. I love it. Absolutely.
Right? I met him online, and we are like the best of friends. When I met him, let me tell you what he looked like. Do you remember Hagrid from Harry Potter? That's what he looked like when I met him. I was like, holy crap. And now he's like, he rides a motorcycle, short hair, beard, but he cut all of his hair off. And I was like, oh, you look human. So, but yeah.
We've all got friends there's plenty of part Yetis down here in Australia. Don't worry.
Right? He tried to talk me into coming out there, but I can't do a 16-hour plane ride because I'm claustrophobic and afraid of heights. This girl don't get on a plane. I told him, can I take a boat? He was like, yeah, if you want to be here about 4 months. Huh?
Never say never.
I know.
Sounds like a boat ride might be the answer to you.
I think they'd have to drug me for a really long time. Go.
I thought that's how everybody flew internationally.
Yeah. You can cure me when I get there. Susie, where can everybody find you?
I was going to say you had trouble with the government. I guess, we're all having problems with that demon. Okay. So that's,
I just keep beating up Daddy Bush in my dreams. If he comes back, he's going to have a black eye. Y'all watch. Where can everybody find you, Susie?
Mostly on like Facebook under Suzanne, SUZANNE, hot, HOTTE. And I'm the one riding the horse on the deal. But also I go on Penny Show, The Awake Nation, and The Dark Outpost. So, and here on Friday and Saturday nights.
And I swear one day we're going to get pictures of me falling off of your horse. We're going to post them everywhere.
We're not gonna fall off. No, we're not gonna do that.
You know, I probably won't. I rode for so long, it would probably be a good balance for me. So, Penny, and where can everybody find you? Let the drum roll.
Okay, so you can find me on The Awake Nation Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Time. You can also find me on the Dark Outpost. We pre-record the Dark Outpost. You can find Dr. Lampshade, which is actually the AKA for Tom Altos, the actual writer of The Matrix. You can find him on the Dream Team on The Awake Nation, and then also on the Dark Outpost. You can also find Susie Q on her segment, which is called Hot Shots, because that's her last name, Suzanne Hot, and she gives hot shots of intel. You can find her on the Awake Nation on Fridays, as well as on the Dark Outpost. She started a new show. If you'd like to join the Dark Outpost, it's $30 for an entire year, which is like fabulosa and extremely cheap. And you get intel and documentaries and interviews that you're not going to find anywhere else. And join us on the Awake Nation at theawakenation.com or at David Zublik's channel on Rumble. And then finally, we're here on Beyond the Box. I also help produce the Patriots Perspective with Christy Tasker, who's running for mayor in Miami. And Beyond the Box is every Friday and Saturday night, 9 p.m. Got to get that PM in. It's not 9 a.m. Okay. Let's rewind that one. It's 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, and it's 10 to 12 midnight, which is like, whoo, it's almost past my bedtime. And that's Friday and Saturday evening. So please join us for Beyond the Box on YouTube. And, you know, Susie, you forgot to mention, of course they're going to find you here because this is your show with Brenda.
Yeah. So, and I also want to let everybody know, you know, right now we stream on the normal Facebook, YouTube, Trevo, Twitter, or X, if you want to call it Twitch. But starting in August, we are going to start doing lives on Rumble this way.
Hallelujah.
I know, right? This way, if if YouTube has a fit, I can just, you know, be nice to them and, you know,
yeah, we got David got kicked off at 250K for discussing some things like C19. That's a part of your spinal column, and and other things. And then the last time we went back on, he just finally kind of just posts, you know, incidentals. Because I told him, hey, it's a good thing that you decided not to do it anymore because we're having the Pfizer whistleblower on tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Lena, good on you. That's really good.
Well, I hope ALOBAR we get to bring you back on because
Yes.
Penny just mentioned a topic that I'd love to hear about would be what your team sees when they look at the COVID vaccines and all these demons, because I understand they're a new class of demons according to people out of Germany.
Brian is on. Brian is on the Awake Nation and the Dark Outpost. He's on the Dark Outpost every Thursday, and so ALOBAR, you need to come on the Dark Outpost with us, okay? With Brian.
Yes.
I can do
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds pretty fun. Yeah, let's do
How
that.
could I forget?
And you guys can find me behaving myself sitting over here twitching in my chair, and we'll be here every Friday and Saturday night just for your entertainment. And we are going to call it a night. Brenda's head is
God bless you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, ALOBAR, so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for me on the show.
Yes, it was very, very interesting, and we will have you back on, hopefully on a night when Mario is on, because Mario's
on tomorrow.
I know he will be on tomorrow. Yes, that's right, everybody. We have Mario coming back on tomorrow, and yay, we like Mario. We just love Mario. He's great.
He'll reach out to you, ALOBAR. I know he's interested. Yeah,
Yes.
you have another light warrior for your team.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, wonderful news.
All right, everybody. We are going to go because, you know, we're about out of time. But like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Goodbye for now from Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs with our extraordinary guests.
Break it down.
Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box.
Break it down.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker Carlson.